So this allows their creativity to be shown. This allows their analysis to be shown, their evaluation to be shown. How good are they to actually evaluate things? How about making them a leader? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. And as we continue these Tarbiyah series videos, today we speak about another glaring difference between factory model schools and ILM schools, integrated learning model schools, as Unity International School espouses. The most glaring problem that faces us is their assessment. And why is this such a glaring problem? Because unfortunately, because of this examination and assessment obsession, we've actually commodified our children. And that is what actually makes schools into factories, because factories produce commodities, and the factory school produces students that are assessed and examined according to a certain criteria, according to a certain metric that someone else decides. And everyone is judged in the same way. And that is one of the key problems to factory model schools. There's a pencil paper based two-dimensional exam or a test or an assessment. You can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, it's a judgment on the child who is still growing and still learning. So, and not only is it a judgment, it's a very poor judgment, because it only would identify maybe a certain skill, which is retention. That how much can the student retain from the texts in the textbooks, and when given an opportunity and told that after so much time you will be tested, they retain this information, absorb it, and then regurgitate it, vomit it out onto paper. And that is supposed to tell us how intelligent they are and how talented they are. This is an extremely, extremely naive viewpoint. Just like a very clear example, anything on a piece of paper, drawing on a piece of paper, that's two-dimensional, right? It's not visible in all its dimensions. I mean, looking at a building is very different from looking at its blueprints, right? So you cannot judge everything about the building from its blueprints. So just a paper pencil based test does not tell us everything about this child. First of all, as we've discussed before, there are multiple intelligences. So why are all intelligences not given a chance to be assessed? Paper-based testing can only test your ability to absorb certain knowledge or certain information and then regurgitate. How well do you retain it in your mind? And that's frankly that's an obsolete skill. I'm not saying that retention is not important. I've made that clear before. Retention has its importance, but it's not everything. It's not everything. So how do we actually assess a child? We need to have authentic assessment. First of all, the best method is actually to have people in the field, out in real life, assess this child. How well do they do? Because that's in a real life situation. So when your education model has real life connections, then your assessment needs to be real life assessment. So we say we cannot simulate the entire real life experience all the time. So how do we emulate it in the best way possible? So that brings us to different forms of assessment, which may be project-based, which may be given certain assignments or certain opportunities to present. These are examples. So this allows their creativity to be shown. This allows their analysis to be shown, their evaluation to be shown. How good are they to actually evaluate things? How about making them a leader? of a team, and then let's see how they do. How about, for example, setting up a little business model, and a group of students, they set up their own business, and they maybe even sell something and see how well they do. Yes, this can happen in school as well, at least in high school. We limit ourselves to these paper-based tests, and thus we actually limit our ability to properly evaluate these children. And remember, assessment is not judgment. The purpose of assessment is to find out, to discover for the assessor that these were the learning outcomes. This is where we needed to get to. Are we there yet? And if we're not there yet, how far along the way are we? What do I need to do from this point onwards to bring my children there? So that's an assessment. For example, you're driving from one city to another on the highway, on the motorway, and you take a moment, you stop at a rest area, and your family uses the washrooms, etc. Now you make an assessment. Okay, how much time have we already, has it been since departure? How far have we gone? How fast do I need to drive? Maybe we can't have any more breaks in the middle. Is everyone here? Are all my children back in the car? We didn't leave anyone behind. So this is an assessment of the situation. There's no judgment on anyone. You're not judging yourself how good a driver you are. You're not judging your children how efficiently they use the toilets. You see? So why turn assessments into judgments? And this is what creates a negative competition culture in classes, where smart children are bullied because those who cannot achieve those levels, and then they're put down, they're spoken to condescendingly, they're patronized. Then they have this negativity and spite towards the smarter children. And we all know that smartness and intelligence is not limited to mathematics or to how well you can write in English or in Urdu or in any other of these subjects. It's about how you deal with situations in life, what sort of decisions you can make. Can you take a skill and translate it here? Can you solve problems? Can you solve collective problems? Can you propose solutions? Can you make laws? Can you implement laws? This is how society works. So when are we going to assess our children on these things? And another thing is that these flat two-dimensional paper-based assessments, this only shows one side of the picture. So for example, there's an event and I participate in that event, and for some reason I took my son with me, and my son's acting up, he's running around, and I'm just giving him this frowning look just to make sure that he behaves himself and doesn't get into trouble. And someone takes my picture, and that picture gets published, and everyone starts thinking that Hashir came to this event and he was frowning and he was in a bad mood. Whereas that is not what the reality is. That was just one instance. So in one instance, a child might not be able to identify that particular answer. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they couldn't sleep at night. Maybe there was a crisis in the family. And we're going to judge their entire future based on this bad day. We really need to revisit our examination models, our assessment models. They are extremely not only outdated, they breed negativity, negative competition, pride, and the lack of collaboration. Those are some of the problems. Whereas let's instead assess how well they communicate, how well they write, how well they read, or how well they present. How can they make a team and carry it? Can they lead people towards a collective goal? What about their physical gifts? Let's bring assessment into that. How about their artistic talents, their creativity? Let's bring assessment into that. How about their visuospatial abilities? There's so many forms of intelligence that we need to look into and stop pretending that there's just this one gauge of intelligence. The sooner we do that, the better it will be for our children, the better it will be for society, and you will see we will produce people who will actually bring positive changes in this world.